Hi everyone, welcome back to the Anand studio. I have with me a very special guest again, Mr. Lokenath Chatterjee, who is the BJP legal head in West Bengal. নমস্কার স্যার, কেমন আছেন আপনি?
নমস্কার। ভালো নেই
কেন?
regarding Bengal.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that a little more. Coming to the first question, sir, how is the law and order from your perspective in West Bengal?
See, West Bengal, which was known to be one of the safest places for women, one of the better places for children to stay in, was a society which was known to be sympathetic to all, perhaps has turned literally volatile over the past decade or so. So West Bengal today sees one of the sharpest increase in cases in crimes against children. It saw a very sharp increase in cases of crimes against women. While in the rest of the country, if you look at the National Crime Records Bureau data, although that data is does not give the entire picture in Bengal, but nonetheless, it's definitely an indicator. It where the crimes against women have dropped all across the country. In fact, if you look at the 2020 statistics, which was the last pre-pandemic one, so there it shows that compared to 2019, it came down all over the country, but Bengal literally shockingly saw a quite great rise in the cases of crime against women. In fact, cases of crime against children have gone up. Overall crime rates in Bengal have gone up, and Bengal sees the maximum number of political murders in the country. In fact, 99 onwards, if you look at the NCRB data, every year there have been at least 20 political killings in Bengal. So this is quite, not a good indicator of things and of the law and order situation here in Bengal. In fact, the state government refuses to send data to the National Crime Records Bureau, due to which, in fact, while the data for other states can be compiled, the data for West Bengal is getting difficult to compile. So this is overall a picture. And in fact, the state government, the chief minister, is in charge of the home ministry also here, which looks after the law and order and police situation. So in fact, Bengal has seen landmark matters where, in fact, even in public interest litigations in gang rape matters, investigation has been handed over to the Central Bureau of Investigation. In fact, the number of deaths, killings, in fact, we'll go and relate all of this. We'll discuss all of these. It really is a very shocking indicator of things here. In fact, in Bengal, when, a lady had been raped in a very posh locality of Calcutta known as Park Street, there the chief minister had given a very infamous statement that small things like this keep on occurring. So, and in fact, in several other rape incidents, police officers, lady police officers have been appointed, especially of additional commissioner level, to supervise investigations in several cases very recently. In fact, Bengal's seen a very big and spurt in the cases of rapes and gang rapes against women. And incidentally, very stark to see that all of these have political connections with the ruling government in the state. So this is as far as the situation of women and children are concerned. If you look at the overall crime situation in Bengal, in fact, that's a very scary situation we are looking at. Bengal's a border state which has a very long contiguous land border with the international border with West Bengal, with Bangladesh. So that's a very, in fact, there are several points across the border which, despite best efforts by the border security forces, it's becoming difficult. In fact, there are several districts which have become hubs of, at one point of time, had become hubs of FIC and fake Indian currency notes, smuggling rackets, and all of them. Although they've been, stopped to a great extent, but in fact, there had been explosions in Khagragar, a place in Burdwan district in central Bengal. And the blasts were seen to have international connections also. So that is being investigated by the National Investigation Agency. There have been further bomb blasts, further huge recoveries, cache of arms, and otherwise in all places all over Bengal. So many are still being investigated. In fact, one is a very infamous one in Khejuri, which is being investigated, Khejuri in Medinipur, which is being investigated again by the National Investigation Agency. So if you look at it, the huge stockpiling of arms, weapons, bombs, crude or otherwise. So in fact, there was a recent bomb blast in Malda, which is again a district towards the upper more central half of Bengal. There, several children were hurt due to such a bomb blast, and in fact, the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights had also issued notices. In fact, if you look at the last year or so, there has been a huge rise in work of the National Commission for Scheduled Castes, National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, National Commission for Women, National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, all over the place. This is because of the huge spurt in rise of caste-based violence and atrocities, gender-based violence and atrocities all over Bengal. If you look at the statistics of the number of people who'd been attacked, whose homes have been destroyed and damaged in post-poll violence in Bengal, and what is post-poll violence, we'll just come to it. One sees a huge spurt in violence and atrocities against people belonging to the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Several people belonging to scheduled tribes had been murdered, whose murders are being investigated by the Central Bureau of Investigation in post-poll violence. There have been innumerable murders of scheduled caste persons. There have been innumerable rapes belonging to women of scheduled caste communities in Bengal in post-poll violence. So therefore, all of these castes and communities which are vulnerable did not really side with the ruling dispensation in Bengal. And as retributive violence, they were attacked and targeted. So this is quite a worrying concern in Bengal, which has really not had a history of caste-based violence and atrocities. There have been violence and atrocities based on class-based, but again, it has become literally caste-based. So this is a very worrying trend for Bengal and does not portend well for really things to come ahead. And the overall situation, in fact, post-poll violence is a term which was coined, and it's there in a full bench judgment, bench comprising 5 senior judges of the High Court at Calcutta had ruled and had handed over investigation of all murders and rapes and attempts to rape to the Central Bureau of Investigation in Bengal on account of violence unleashed by the ruling Trinamool Congress after the declaration of results of the 2021 general elections to the West Bengal Legislative Assembly. So, this created a very worrying situation. And in fact, the post-poll violence investigation is still being carried on by the Central Bureau of Investigation. So this is quite a worrying trend. And in fact, this is where the High Court, Calcutta High Court, had also come down very heavily. And in fact, on the role of the police. The Calcutta High Court had appointed the National Human Rights Commission to form a committee and look into these cases of post-poll violence and torture. The NHRC formed a team, and in its report stated, Bengal is a state which is not run by the rule of law, but the law of the rulers is what runs in Bengal. In fact, that's the opening statement of the report of the National Human Rights Commission. So, in fact, that was a worrying trend, and that is seen all across, everywhere. It is quite evident that this is what the NHRC team had found, which was signed by people from the state legal service authorities. The team comprised representatives from state legal service authority and all, and in fact, other National Commission for Minorities. In fact, the vice chairperson of the National Commission for Minorities had been chased and attacked in a suburb of Calcutta when he went to investigate it into cases of post-poll violence. So this is the amount of torture and violence which was really unveiled in Bengal. And if one looks at the number of cases which have been registered, in fact, a lot of, there are huge allegations against the police forces here of registering and falsely implicating persons in false murder cases, in false cases pertaining to drugs under the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act, false cases pertaining to Arms Act. So the police here is infamous, and really the people don't have faith in the police forces. The police have earned the moniker of being the ruling party's playchild. So this is where people, in fact, the people on the ground have really no place to go. Moment they go to a police station, their attackers are informed, and before they can do anything, false cases are slapped on them. Their attackers further keep on torturing them. So the people have nowhere to go. In fact, the state institutions have been really politicized to a great extent. In fact, Mamata Banerjee, I mean, God knows what she's in the field of literature. She's been recently honored with the Sahitya Academy Puraskar. So, so this is the extent of politicization which runs overall in the state, and more so in the police forces, in the administration. So this is the kind of politicization which is seen. In fact, even during the left rule, one had seen instances of these kind of politicizations, due to which it was called as the party society in Bengal. unlike other places which really doesn't have this kind of a party society. So Bengal politics means violence, elections means killings, and this has become the staple of the ruling party politics in Bengal. So overall, if you look at the law and order situation and scenario, it is extremely disconcerting. It is extremely worrying, and in fact, in the border districts, it's a problem. There are issues of communal violence. There have been recent cases of several conversions in a district in Bengal, where due to which the cases have been instituted. Public interest writ petition was moved before the Calcutta High Court, and so all of these happened. In fact, people were accused of forcing people to convert from Hinduism to Islam. So these are worrying trends all across Bengal, and in fact, this does not look to abate, but seems to continue. And so, therefore, if you look at the overall law and order situation, uh, prior to elections, it was bad. Now it's worsened horribly. And in fact, the state doesn't care. The police people, they don't care, and it's basically a situation where the police have really surrendered to the might of the ruling dispensation in Bengal. And in fact, several police officers are being investigated in several big scams. In fact, IPS level officers are being investigated in the coal scam, in the cow smuggling scam, in several other scams and syndicates. They've been named. They are being really called by the Central Bureau of Investigation and are being investigated. So these are quite worrying trends which are being observed all across the society here. So if you look at me, if you really ask me, the situation in Bengal is horrible. And if you really ask me as a student of law, I will tell you, it the administration in Bengal is not being carried on in terms of the Constitution of India, and there has been a real breakdown of the constitutional machinery in Bengal, which calls for an strict and swift action by the guarantors, by the protectors of the Constitution.
Hmm. Hmm. Sounds really alarming. So BJP being quite strong a party nationally, right? So what steps has BJP taken to really curb this, to really confront this?
So therefore, there's a great faith of the courts also in the investigating prowess of central agencies like the CBI, NIA, and others. In fact, even the Enforcement Directorate. So this is a positive thing where the central government has instilled faith in several central institutions. In fact, the faith which has been time and again uh, demonstrated and in fact voiced by the judiciary. So this is a welcome thing, and due to which several investigations have been transferred from the state police forces to the CBI in CBI, NIA, ED by the courts. So that apart, as a political party, BJP has vowed to keep on fighting for justice. In fact, rendering legal assistance and help to whatever extent it can. In fact, in the districts, people are scared to such an extent that even approaching a lawyer, lodging a complaint seems to a very Herculean task. And all over, we also face several problems in this regard. But nonetheless, party is trying to stand up to whatever extent it can. But however, this is inadequate as far as the victims of political violence are concerned. It is inadequate when it comes to a lady who's been raped, a member of a family who's been murdered. So therefore, the party has tried to give certain financial assistance also to victims of post-poll violence in Bengal who've been murdered. But then again, everything that we say is inadequate. It does not compensate for the loss of a life, for the loss of a dignity of a lady for murders. So all of it, and as a party, it's been really voicing hard to try and be by persons who've been affected by political violence in Bengal. So all of this is really something which is quite disconcerting, and due to which the party as a whole has tried to stand. But again, we'll have to distinguish the party and the central government. Central government is bound by law, by rules to, however emotive we may become, however emotive and strongly we may voice that the central government does this, does that. But nonetheless, as a party, it has tried to stand as a party. Definitely, party has been shocked. Party has been really hurt, and party has really been affected by the number of opportunists who had come into the organization and who had tried to really uh, take favor from the party if it had come to power. So all of these, it's beset with a lot of political problems. It's beset with a lot of worries on several aspects, but nonetheless, the party is trying to fight it out. And in fact, the local unit here in Bengal is really trying its level best. It's voicing its protest everywhere. But nonetheless, there the media is largely be under the control of the ruling government here. It's really not been able to voice its opinion hard, to whatever extent they are trying. But it's the media is really scuttling all of that, and the administration and police are, implicating people in false cases whenever they are trying to protest. Party recently organized, 1 week program in honor of persons who've lost their lives and women who'd been deprived of their respect and dignity in post-poll violence. So the local unit here has tried its level best. There was huge protest organized by lawyers in Delhi, where in fact even the local lawyers came together and demanded strict and swiftest of action against the perpetrators of violence in Bengal. But nonetheless, whatever we do, more needs to be done, and we need to continue to work upon and win the confidence of the people and really pay tribute to the persons who've lost their lives and the women who've lost their dignity. So definitely they've been trying, they've been working their level best. And in fact, the party in all its programs has really noticed and kept in mind the Shahid Karyakartas, the Shahid people who've laid down their lives for the organization and who've been victimized because they had stood by their organization, right from that tribal guy in Bengal's, westernmost district of Jhargram, to the scheduled caste person in the West Bengal's northern district of Kuch Bihar, to a poor farm laborer in the southern district of South 24 Parganas near the Sundarbans. So all of them have one thing in common: they were supporting the Bharatiya Janata Party, due to which they've lost their lives. So definitely, we need to keep on working and we need to keep on doing. Although we've tried, we are here, we are trying continuously, but whatever we say, whatever we do, it more needs to be done.
Got it. Got it. So moving on to another aspect, Mr. Abhishek Banerjee recently, I think, has commented on judiciary, saying that the judiciary is hand in gloves with the center and all that, right? So how do you see that?
In fact, that comment is crass, and definitely that comment really strikes at the majesty and dignity of the judiciary. In fact, it is the judicial system, it is the judiciary which is protecting the people here in Bengal. It is the judiciary which is the last refuge of the people. In fact, if you look at the 4 pillars of democracy, the legislature and the executive have completely failed the state, failed the people of the state. In fact, 10.5 crore people of Bengal are really worried about the functioning of the legislature and the executive. And whenever the opposition opens its mouth in the legislative assembly, they are shut out. And in fact, several opposition members have also been suspended. Uh, Legislature and the judiciary is really an issue. There is the press has also largely failed the people of the state. So it is the judiciary which has stood, and in fact, higher judiciary, more importantly, more so, the Honorable High Court at Calcutta, which has stood by the people. The High Court at Calcutta recently ordered investigation into several instances of illegal and wrongful appointments of teachers and staff in several schools in the staff selection commission and secondary school boards. In fact, all across, the class 9, 10, right from classes 9, 10 to the college level. So, it's quite worrisome the way this has been happening all across Bengal. So therefore, it is the judiciary which has really looked at the people of the state, which has really been the refuge and the faith of the people of the state. But now questions, that's why, the high judiciary has transferred investigations of Rampurhat massacre, where many people were, the carnage, where in Baktui was a village. Due to political rivalry, people were, several huts or houses, we may call them. They were locked from outside. People were beaten, and then their houses were set on fire one of the worst cases of carnage seen in 21st century world. I mean, it's hardly in the 21st century one would have seen. In fact, these cases of violence even rival the horrible violence that we see in the Ukraine-Russia conflict. So this is the kind of, and in fact, it's the judiciary which has stood. So moment it came to corruption in the government appointments, it's the judiciary. Moment it came to protecting the dignity of women, it came to the judiciary. Moment it came to the Rampurat massacre and carnage, it came to the judiciary. Moment it came to the Anis Khan murder, it came to the judiciary. Moment it came to post-poll violence, it came to the judiciary. So it's really been the judiciary which has been the forefront of protecting the democratic and legal and constitutional rights of the people in Bengal. So till such time, the judiciary keeps on fighting. Definitely, they'll be raising questions. But the way they tried to shut up the judiciary, they tried to boycott judges, which was prevented. And in fact, several lawyers from our side also, they stood by the judiciary. We had, really instilled faith in the judiciary. We said that we are there. The courts should keep functioning, and these kind of illegal boycotts cannot be really countenanced by the courts. So therefore, there were several lawyers who opposed it. That's why, the courts, despite their best interest and wishes, several lawyers supported by the ruling Trinamool Congress could not really boycott courts of certain judges who were handing over, who were really looking into and protecting the rights of the people of the state. In fact, the chief minister, when she went to the conclave in Delhi of the chief ministers of states and the and the chief justices of states of the state high courts, along with the prime minister and the president of India, she remarked that there are several PILs politically motivated, which is bogging the high court at Calcutta. But then that remains the state of things because of the way things are in Bengal. So that's why it's the judiciary which has stood by the people. And the remarks that have been made by Abhishek Banerjee, who also happens to be a member of parliament, who also happens to be quite powerful in the ruling government and is now been anointed the National General Secretary of the Trinamool Congress. It really shakes the confidence of the people in the judiciary. It really allows people to question the judiciary, and it really is directly in questions the judiciary and uh, is contumacious and contemptuous at the least. So, in fact, it is also a great mark of contempt towards the judiciary of the state. So, definitely, these contempts, these statements are in bad taste, and which has also been highlighted by the Honorable Governor of West Bengal.
Right, right. The next one is there's a proposal to make Ms. Mamata Banerjee the Chancellor of State-run universities. Right? So, what is the take of your BJP on that?
See, I'll tell you. In fact, around 24 universities of the state, there have been illegal appointments of vice chancellors. The issue was voiced by the Honorable Governor of West Bengal, who is the chancellor in several. In fact, apart from Vishwa Bharati, which is a central university, the chancellor of which is the prime minister of the country. So, I mean, apart from that, all others are in Bengal. So, that's no issue as far as Vishwa Bharati is concerned. But the governor of West Bengal had really voiced concerns and raised issues with respect to the wrongful appointments of vice chancellors in Bengal. So this created a lot of furor, and in fact, there were certain petitions moved before the courts pertaining to illegal and wrongful appointment of vice chancellors. So definitely, in order to cover up all of these misdeeds, all of these, and in fact, paper over, and in fact, ensure that the entire education system also gets subservient to the political class in Bengal, I think this is an illegal maneuver. In fact, this amendment to the law also needs to be signed by the governor for the law to become a reality. But then again, at the same point of time, they are also looking at the ordinance route if they want this to be done. So the state government is looking at politicizing the entire system and taking over and grabbing the entire system. In fact, even the educational system in Bengal. In fact, when questions are being raised over illegal appointments to schools and universities in colleges in Bengal. So this is just to ensure that all kinds of illegalities are papered over and are not considered. So definitely, this is a huge cause for concern, and this is an illegal and wrongful move because there is a definite reason as to why the governor or, say, for example, the Chief Justice of India, they are made chancellors of universities. The heads of state are made chancellors of universities. So there are definite reasons as to why this is done. This is there all across in all other states also. So definitely this is wrongful and a hideous move, to say the least, and is has drawn sharp criticism all over. In fact, this has not really become a reality. It will take some time for it to see the light of the day, if at all it does. But this also, comes in conflict with the guidelines of the University Grants Commission, the UGC, which has also certain laid down criteria as to how this is to be done. In fact, the appointments of vice chancellors definitely is in conflict with the UGC guidelines. But then again, the UGC may stop funding them at the best. And in fact, the might of these universities, the prestige of these universities definitely gets affected, to say the least. The chancellor comes during convocations, the chancellor hands over the degrees, and on many occasions. So this in itself is a great occasion. But nonetheless, this definitely raises questions, and it has also raised questions all over. There's a huge debate surrounding this, and definitely let's see if at all they manage to really it manages to pass muster. If it does, we'll definitely discuss more of it. But suffice it to say that this is an illegal move in conflict with the UGC guidelines. This will lower the prestige and might of the universities, and as a whole, the education system in the state, which is already under a lot of pressure and under a lot of constraints, will definitely be affected a lot more.
Got it. Got it. So my last question about your role as a legal head. How does your day look like? Must be quite challenging.
Oh yeah. I must, definitely. It's seldom do we tend to discuss all of these, but definitely it's a very challenging day for us, right? From the morning hours to the late nights. In fact, taking responsibility, moving on, taking people's calls, answering them. Not all political people really understand the role of the courts. They need, instant responses. They need instant relief. Definitely, it's a problem on many occasions, and in fact, it's the majority of the people who have been, slapped with cases are poor people from very challenging backgrounds. So definitely, you can't really they can't compensate you monetarily, financially, and that's not the way also how it functions. But definitely, in fact, looking at challenging cases, looking at, in fact, right from the Arjun Chaurasia death matter to murder matter to several others, it's a very challenging day, and in fact, instilling a lot of confidence in the organization, working hard at it, making, getting your team together. And in fact, it's a team. Lawyers are known to be, opinionated individuals. Getting them together, putting together a group, working at it, uh, at the high courts, and sometimes it's at the Supreme Courts, sometimes in the subordinate judiciary. So all of it, in fact, every day when the party takes out a protest, people are arrested, cases are slapped on them, and it becomes a huge issue every time the parties. So whenever, parties on some movement or the other, the unit needs to be alert. The local people, lawyers need to be alert. And in fact, due to the huge pressures on the organization, there have been instances and places where, in fact, even local lawyers have also been pressurized and have been threatened. So, in fact, in looking at them, taking care of them, and really, it's keeping the organization together. It's an organization of lawyers, because they are the people who are working it out, running it all over, sweating it out. So definitely, it's a and it's a lot of time involvements also required. So no holidays, no breaks. So it's 24/7. You're expected to function. You have to go on, and in fact, these are very challenging times for the party also. Party organization wise, party status wise in the state, the amount of challenges the Star Party aims to surmount at this present point of time, at this juncture. So, not many we can also openly discuss, but definitely a lot of challenges legally, organizationally. So, looking at all of it together, definitely it's a very challenging day. And, every day looks very challenging. And then looking into problems of lawyers, it's like a family. So, whenever a member of a lawyer's family gets, say for example, sick, or say for example, gets affected with. We've had instances where we've had to pitch in for lawyers whose family members got affected with cancer, whose family members died. So all of this, then in fact also looking into the elections in various bar associations all across the state. Uh, as we discussed, these are very challenging times for the organization. So definitely, there are several issues which crop up. Sorting them out, moving on. So definitely, it's a huge challenge, and uh, you are required to have the smiling face at the end of the day. You are required to keep your calm at the end of the day. So yeah, a very challenging assignment.
Surely, sir. You're working hard. The results will follow. All right. With that, thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you so much for all your time today,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you. It's a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaskar.